So Young Lee, quote, my heart is kind of pounding right now. I personally wanted to be there in person. I've been living with this for like 20 plus years. Every day when I think it's over or it's ended, it always comes back. It's killing me. It's really tough. I'm sure we'll get more. So Young Lee, quote, my heart. Okay, now it's live on YouTube. Janet Barney is also who's on our podcast is texting me upset she's not on the Zoom.
Bob, I can leave the Zoom if Janet wants to join. I feel like she's much more important to be there.
No. Don't be. First of all, that's sweet, but that's okay. Janet can. I'll give her all the deets. But also, the second
Janet can just wait.
Yeah, the second you get out, someone else will. There's like a wait list of people trying to get in, so it wouldn't be her that would get that spot. I'm just telling her I just linked it to YouTube Live, so you can at least.
You can also tell her to try again, because I got the same pop-up when I first tried to log in, and then I hit the login button again and it let me in.
Did it?
Yeah,
technically there's only 99 people in right now. Oh, now there's 100.
Yeah, so it fills up quick. Okay, and we're live on YouTube.
Wait, I'm looking in the YouTube chat. Is that the Susan Simpson? Sue Simpson saying thank you so much, Bob, for this tube. Hi, Susan Simpson. How's your dog? Oh, okay.
That is not the Susan. That is Suze Simpson, not the Susan Simpson. She's one of our listeners.
Okay. Oh, hi, Suze.
But also, nice.
You have a very interesting name for this specific event. If you have a dog, please tell them I said hi, or some kind of pet or animal. I love them and wish them the best.
So for those of you that's joined on YouTube Live, sorry, I apologize. I didn't think to do this until now. I couldn't sit here alone. So for those of you who saw it on Facebook, I put up a Zoom link so people could chat about it, and did not expect 100 people to jump on in 3 seconds and completely fill it up. So it's been capped. And then Janet, I'm 10 feet away from Janet's getting ready to get on a plane. So she's pretty upset. She's missing all of this. Said we should put it on YouTube Live or something so that everybody could watch. And Janet says, I'll just read you Janet's chat. She says, doesn't the judge understand that I'm on a tight schedule? I'm 10 feet away from the foot on a plane to go home, but we shouldn't take off for another 25 minutes. So hopefully more will happen before the plane takes off.
Look, there's a couple Janet of new tweets. Goes, so great.
Okay, I got a couple new tweets coming in here. Thank you. Young Lee continues, says he trusts the courts and the justice system. This motion blindsided him because he thought the prosecution was on his side. Quote, I feel betrayed. But adds that he's, quote, not against investigation. It's tough for me to swallow, especially for my mom. Continued on the next one, says, quote, I ask you to make the right decision. Also says knowing there could be someone out there free for killing his sister is difficult. He's very emotional, working through tears. He's going to make me cry reading this. Obviously at odds because he spent 23 years thinking prosecution had the right person. So it's pretty incredible what he's saying. If I understand that right, that he's obviously upset about this, but he's also saying that he trusts the prosecution while feeling betrayed by them, but he acknowledges that there could be someone who's been out there for 23 years free after killing the sister. So it doesn't sound like he's blatant, like he's outright opposing what's happening here.
I think it's just hard for all of this to be brought up again. Like, even though for it's not like again, it's just consistently, but I think he just wants to be heard that he's been wrestling with all of this. It's just like, it's fucking heart-wrenching all the way around.
And the judge spoken, she said she's mindful how difficult today is for Young Lee and his family. She thanks him for his input, and that appears to be all there will be from the victims and their attorney. Now we'll proceed to the actual hearing itself. So that's that. Here we go. let me zip through the YouTube chat right now and see if there's any questions or anything. And again, YouTube people, I'm so sorry. I didn't think to put this live. I didn't know that there'd be this many people. I don't know why I didn't think so. Would be this
You've been
interesting.
recording this the whole time though, right, Bob? So you have it?
Yeah, I am recording it, so I can always post it on YouTube later.
Also, my parents for the win. My dad just texted the group chat. Any news?
Your dad did?
The group chat with me and my mom. Any news?
Oh.
Come on.
It's funny because my dad has been texting me. He texted me a little bit ago and said CNN coverage is about to start soon. And then I just sent him the Twitter to follow, and he said he's already following it. It's exciting. On pins and needles. So yeah, anybody in the YouTube chat, if you have a question, feel free to chime in. I'll try to keep an eye out over there. And then again, anybody here on the Zoom, feel free to raise your hand if you want to chat. I started the Zoom right at 2, right when the hearing started, and it was unplanned. I just was sitting here pacing in my office, going nuts. And then I saw other people posting that they were pacing and going nuts too. So I thought, why not? Let's all go nuts together. And then Jillian was sweet enough to join and be my co-host.
That's the first time I'm hearing co-host, but I'm happy to help because you need help with the Zoom, Bob. I love you, but you need some help with the Zoom. I'm happy to help.
You were the actual host for a little while.
Because you're a parent and had to do some adulting.
Right.
I'm happy to help. This has been very, very nice. I'm actually like my hands ringing. So this is, I'm so glad when I went on Facebook real quick and saw that you were doing this. I was like, oh, genius. Yes, of course. Because I would have been sweating through my free Adnan shirt by myself. And so it's nice that I have witnesses that we can all go through this together. Okay.
That was my 17-year-old Quentin that is here. What are you doing in here?
I gotta put this build on my phone real quick.
Doing some computer nerdy stuff.
Feldman has restated their ask that Syed be released from custody.
Yep. So this says Feldman asking again for Finn to vacate the conviction and then release Syed from custody. That does not mean his charges are dropped. That just that authorities feel more needs to be investigated. That being said, the state still thinks he is guilty, unlikely to ask for release. My wife is now asking me what's going on.
What do you think the chances are they have if they feel they have enough to go ahead and make an arrest if this is granted?
I don't know. The fact that they've left the names out, I don't know what to think. I guess I could go one way or another. I kind of feel like that's an indicator that maybe they are pretty close to making an arrest, so they don't want to tip anybody off, even though I think probably what Marilyn Mosby underestimates is what us ordinary folks, outsiders, how deeply invested and educated in the case we are. And that we would, in 3 seconds of reading the motion, know exactly who she's talking about. Let's see here. I keep refreshing. Let's see these. Feldman going through the issues with the original trial prosecution. Generally, the failure to turn over information received about a possible other suspect is grounds for a conviction to be reversed, Feldman says. Jillian and Zach is now watching the YouTube live and texting me and Jillian. All these cheaters with the inside knowledge. You're looking at me.
You would be able to airdrop this.
Right now is a bad time.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
Yeah. This is the Adnan case. There's the hearing is happening right now to
This is
overturn his conviction. It's happening as we speak.
You're in court.
I'm not in court.
Okay.
No.
That's less serious.
It's still pretty serious.
Yeah. Important day.
Now Feldman is detailing her own investigation into the Syed case and says she first got hands on the case file in June of 22 or June 22nd. I don't know if she means June of this year or on the 22nd of June. Someone in the YouTube chat says, can we watch the actual hearing online somewhere? Love from Germany. No, it's not being streamed anywhere. But if you go to, for any of you that don't know, let me type it into the chat. On Twitter, if you follow at Leo Sanderlin, I just put it into the YouTube chat. Follow him on Twitter. He's live tweeting what's going on.
And Justin_Fenton.
Yeah, I haven't been following Justin. Is he updating in real time too?
Yeah. He's awesome. He also he wrote the book We Own This City, which is the basis for the miniseries, but he's an investigative reporter, and his tweets are very factual, but also writes like in prose. So he'll say like Finn, judge. So if you want a little extra context, Justin like writes like a writer. He tweets like a writer, I should say.
Nice. Yeah. And I followed Justin.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize he was, I don't know why I wouldn't think that. Let me see if I can pull up.
I didn't know if I have notifications on for everyone, but that's almost more overwhelming. So I have like Colin and Justin and Lee and Rabia and like all of these people in tabs, and I'm just refreshing furiously.
Yeah, I'm opening another tab here. So I've got my phone down here, opening Twitter. What's his handle at Justin Fenton?
_Fenton, FENTON.
Bob, I linked it in the chat if you can't find it.
Okay, I got it right here. Investigative reporter. Tweets. There we go. Feldman, so he just said 12 seconds ago, Feldman says there are an abundance of issues that give overwhelming cause for concern regarding the conviction, including Brady violation, alternative suspects, and unreliability of evidence. Feldman is walking through findings for the judge. And again, anybody in Zoom, feel free to, Samantha just raised her hand. Go ahead, Samantha.
I also just saw he tweeted earlier that Feldman said she tried reaching out to the Lee family and didn't hear anything back from them.
Oh, maybe that's part of that work. Well, they said that, didn't they say earlier that they reached out to Young on Monday of last week, didn't hear anything back, and then talked to him Tuesday?
Where did it go?
No, she says she reached out after the DNA stuff came out in March that they were going to test the DNA, and nobody contacted them back. And then they tried reaching out again last week to let them know.
That smells, it's just weird to me.
She's-
If I had a chance to solve the case of a murdered family member, no matter if I thought the person was guilty or not, why just not call the police back or the investigators or the DA or the state?
So here real quick, Lee just put up, got to the part about the alternative suspect, specifically the one who had threatened Heyman Lee. Here's some background on that, and it's a clip from the Baltimore Sun. I'll read it. The motion from the Office of Baltimore State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby focused on two alternative suspects who prosecutors now say were prematurely overlooked by the authorities investigating Lee's homicide. The court papers do not identify them or distinguish one's actions from the others. The two suspects may be involved individually or may be involved together, the prosecutors wrote. One suspect threatened to kill Lee, according to the motion. Prosecutors wrote that they discovered that information in the trial file of the original assistant state's attorney, but that it was not disclosed to the defense. That's a violation of law, and the prosecutors say that the information could have been paramount importance to defense Syed's trial defense. Prosecutors say the joint investigation revealed the alternative suspects had documented records of violence towards women, including several convictions for crimes that occurred after Syed's trial. One suspect was convicted of a series of rapes, according to court papers. One suspect was convicted of attacking a woman. One suspect was accused of forcibly confining a woman. I'm a little confused about that because I did the episode on Alonzo Sellers in 2015 and pulled his background check. and there were no rape convictions on his record at that time. And I don't know about Bilal unless he ever actually was convicted of one with a little boy. Another update from Lee says Feldman says she doesn't know why this information was never turned over to the defense in the past. I do. Based on this information alone, we believe the defendant is entitled to a new trial, she said.
Hey, Bob, do you know if they ever collected DNA from any of the other suspects? Probably not, right?
I don't think so. I don't think they did from either of these two suspects. I think they probably did from Adnan and Jay. I don't think that they did anyone else got anyone else's, but don't quote me on that because I'm not positive.
So the reason I ask is one of the things that Justin tweeted was that prosecutor Feldman addressing question of why now. She says state investigation began in October of 21. Brady violations found in June. DNA testing came back in August, and she's been drafting the motion since then. When they originally filed for DNA, didn't the state say that they would use that if it lacked Adnan's DNA, that they would use that as a sign for exoneration?
Yes, that's a really good point. Mosby did say that she would consider a lack of Adnan's DNA on the crime scene as enough to overturn the conviction. So let's think about that. She said they got the results back in August, so a month ago, before she filed this. So, I mean, it's possible they're playing hide the ball, meaning, I mean, obviously they didn't find Adnan's DNA, or otherwise they wouldn't be doing any of this. I would think if they got results back and it just didn't include Adnan, they would also include that in the motion. So my guess is it's one of two things. Either the results were nothing, they found no DNA, no usable DNA, or if they found DNA that linked them to one of these other two suspects, they could be playing hide the ball, meaning they think they've got plenty enough to get this conviction overturned without disclosing that, so they don't tip off the person that they're going to go make an arrest on, because this case is technically closed until Adnan's conviction is overturned. So that would be interesting. Reading some YouTube chat here. Samantha says the most frustrating part of all this is all the women who have been hurt by these guys because of lazy, racist, dirty cops. They have the information. How many other families have been torn apart? I agree. Stacy asked, she said they're asking for a new trial now to get him released. Is a new trial actually likely? I would say 100% absolutely not. There's no way. Even if they thought Adnan was guilty, I don't think there's any chance that they would retry him, because look, so they barely got a conviction last time. Last time they had Jay Wild's testimony, which will not happen. There's no possible way Jay will testify again. And if he did, there's no credibility. Not only did he have all his changing stories before the trial, but he's changed his story again since then in the Intercept interview and stuff. There's no way Jay testifies again, so they won't have that. The cell phone evidence was used to corroborate Jay's story. They don't have the cell phone evidence anymore because that's been proven to be unreliable and junk science. So they literally, and there's been a ton of information like Coach Syed, like it's been 100% confirmed based on his original statement, looking at weather calendars. We know for sure that he alibis Adnan. So there's no way they would try him again. Kristen, go ahead. You have your hand raised.
They mentioned on the Undisclosed podcast that came out, I think a couple of days ago, that if the information that's been released about the potential suspects, if that's come out, there has to be so much more that hasn't been released. So it sounds like you're onto something as far as the DNA evidence goes. But again, I don't remember which one of them was that said it. But if, again, they've released all of this identifying information, just think about how much they haven't released yet.
Yeah. And then also here's my beyond speculation, tinfoil hat speculation. I think there's a possibility that could mean that they got DNA results that point to someone other than these two suspects that are mentioned. And that's why it's not included in this, because again, this is enough to overturn the conviction, and then the case is open, and then they could go after someone that has nothing to do with this motion. They've made very clear that this motion is about Brady violations, not about, who they think actually did it.
Right.
I have an updated tweet from Lee. Says one of the alternative suspects wasn't properly cleared by police because of the failed lie detector test. That's got to be Mr. S. Lonzo Sellers. Those test results aren't admissible in court, but Feldman arguing they can be used to narrow down suspect identities. FYI, the state is not naming the suspects. So they're still not naming them, but again, I think everybody kind of knows who they are. And I'm refreshing Justin's. Nothing new there. Oh. All right, we'll go to the YouTube chat. Nathan Cooper says, Bob, has your opinion changed at all on who the prime alternate suspects may be without having to say names? Not at this point, and that's only because I don't have any more information. What we have, that's your fault, Jillian. You're making those dings.
It's your fault for not silencing your phone.
I'm on. It's coming through the device that I'm on. I can't mute it.
Then why? Zach can text me right now and you wouldn't hear it. Your story's full of holes. Rough. Deal with it.
Yeah. So we don't know. We don't know anything about these suspects. So we know that supposedly one of them had a motive to kill Hay, and supposedly one of them made a threat against Hay. That's all that we know, which is enough for a Brady violation, enough that it's exculpatory and should have been disclosed to the defense. But unless we hear more, until I hear more about, I haven't heard enough to make me change my opinion of who I think the best suspects are. Bear that in mind, I could be 100% wrong. It sure is looking like probably I am wrong about that, but we'll see. But I just haven't heard. It's because we don't have those details yet. Just because, think back to Damien's case, the softball girls. People heard him. Because people overheard someone saying something doesn't necessarily mean they did it. Brandy says, Bob, if you're on a Mac, you can definitely mute it. Turn on Do Not Disturb. How the fuck do I turn on? Okay, I'm going to try to turn on Do Not Disturb. I don't know how to do. Listen, I'm not what you would call technologically advanced. I don't need your attitude, Jillian.
I don't subscribe to that. You've been podcasting for 1,000 years. Get with it.
But I don't podcast on Zoom. Well, I do, but
first of all, I told you in Arkansas that you should be doing more Zooms. Second,
and I listened. Look.
Shit. So this is my fault.
Yeah, you didn't give me a crash course on how to use Zoom.
No, that's not my job. My job is to save you when you have to leave and then become the host of this thing.
Right. I want to leave. I want to wave at my TV, but you can't see me. You can wave anyway. Is that Devin? Who's DMC? Whoever it is. You can wave, and I'll wave back. Oh, Jason, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't see your hand raised.
Yeah, so is the district attorney limited in their authority to use subpoenas if the case isn't, the original case isn't thrown out, right? I mean, if they've got potentially a DNA profile they want to match, would they be able to even try to subpoena DNA from suspects without this case being completely thrown out?
They just have to put it before. They just have to show probable cause to a judge for it, just like any other. Because if his conviction's overturned, this goes back to just being an open case again, just like an open unsolved case. I see you, Sarah. 1 second, because we got an updated tweet, a couple of them. Feldman discussing cell phone location evidence now, saying it shouldn't have been admissible in court. That's because they allowed incoming calls to be used to determine location data, which AT&T said in its own legal disclaimer at the time, it may not be entirely accurate. Also, cell phone location data is what put Syed at Heyman Lee's burial site.
But they're talking about Jay. Now they're talking about Jay.
No, they're still just talking about the cell phone. She's saying the cell phone evidence is unreliable. because
refresh Lee Sanderland's feed.
I'll get up to that one. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So it says also cell phone location data is what put Syed at Hayman Lee's burial site. Feldman now says the detective who investigated the killing, Feldman now says the detective who investigated killing is unreliable, citing a separate case. Also is discussing Jay Wild, the star witness in 1999 trial, who the state now deems unreliable. Quote, he gave 2 different accounts to police about where he saw the victim's body. If you listen to my season 1, episode 32, as a refresher, you heard when we broke down, that's number 1, he changed the story 3 times, not twice. 2, not only did the locations change, but his story about the burial, about how it was dark, they didn't have flashlights, but he could see because of the snow on the ground and the moonlight. And we figured out that there was 0 snow on the ground, and the moonrise wasn't until 4 a.m. So there was neither snow on the ground or a moon in the sky at the time. So there's a million reasons to know that story was bullshit.
She's now attacking the corroborating witnesses.
So the corroborating, let me see here. Feldman now going through Wild's corroborating witnesses and impeaching their credibility by pointing out their inability to independently, without police prodding, provide information in support of Wild's version of events. Sarah, go ahead.
Is it possible for the prosecution to give information to the judge that would not be made public to help ensure that the conviction is vacated, or is all information in this hearing public?
Technically, no. Everything has to be on the record. Do I believe that there are not conversations that happen behind closed doors? Absolutely. So there could be those conversations. And Jillian not only put her hands up, but also a clap. So this so go ahead, Jillian. You're muted.
All right, look who knows how to Zoom now. This is the moment in the documentary where Susan Simpson says she would bet dollars to donuts, tap, tap, tap on the table. That's what they're talking about. When they say without police prodding, it's pointing to Jay on the map, tap, 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 where everything was. And we've seen this 1,000 times in every Jesse Miss Kelly also comes to mind. Wait, so you sure it wasn't 3 o'clock? You sure it was later? You sure it was this? That's exactly what they're talking about. Like, we've seen this 1,000 times before, and I just hear Susan Simpson's, I would bet dollars to donuts. Like, this is what they're talking about. This is unbelievable.
Well, and she's also talking about what they referred to there was Wild's corroborating witnesses, which would be Jen Pusateri and Christy. There, and you can hear in those interviews, you can hear where they're like prompting her, both of them, with the information they need to corroborate. Another tweet just came through, quote, I understand how difficult this is, but we need to make sure we hold the correct person accountable, end quote, Feldman says. Then repeats Mosby's, quote, justice over convictions line from her Nightline interview last week. Promises to bring Lee's killer to justice. That's the best thing I've heard. To answer the question somebody was asking earlier is, if his conviction's overturned, is it going to continue on, or will they actually make an arrest? Mosby has said that she promises to bring Lee's killer to justice. So it sounds to me like, hell yes, they're going to continue to investigate. Text here. Oh, someone's texting me about my current case with a good parallel to this, but the call was 10:45 a.m. My daughter picked up Jay's recall. What is this? Ben, I'm reading from the YouTube chat. Call was at 10:45 a.m. My daughter picked up that Jay's recall of the call at 10:45 a.m. matching the call record is way too specific. Okay. Oh, just saying that it was information the police were providing, not just from memory. Who said Bob? Who said Bob Movers from down to discussing? They did tell young Lee his rights. Another update. Here we go. It says Syed's attorney, Erica Suter, speaking now, quote, Mr. Syed's conviction was built on flawed investigation. Suitor also attacks Wild's credibility, was a brief statement, and now Suitor is done speaking. So that means the prosecution and defense have both laid out their case quickly. Looking for Justin Fenton's. Justin Fenton said Erica Suitor from the Innocence Project began her remarks by saying, quote, "My client is innocent." Also, backing up a little bit, this is from Justin's thing. Justin's Twitter, he says that the state outlined a litany of allegations of misconduct against Detective Ritz in case of Malcolm Bryant, who anybody familiar with the case is familiar with that, who listened undisclosed, was exonerated a few years ago. Also says too many discrepancies to count on Jay Wild. Okay. Something's got to happen real soon here because they just both. I got that I'm going to cry feeling like starting to come over me.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm getting a refill. Jesus Christ.
I haven't poured yet. I don't want to prematurely pour it.
I'm pouring just to handle all of this. I'm not pouring. Also, if you saw the Zach text, Zach said, "Motherfucker, you make me put on do not disturb every recording." I got the receipts, Bob.
The difference there is because we don't use the audio from his phone. We use the audio from the microphones. So he's full of shit. He's on a phone only for his video.
Talk.
It's in. It's overturned. They overturned it.
Judge Finn overturned. Judge Finn overturned Syed conviction in the interest of justice.
Cheers, everybody.
Oh,
We're all crying with you, buddy.
Congrats, Bob.
Congratulations.
this is nothing to do with me.
They're removing his shackles now. He's going home.
Judge also orders Syed released under home detention, removing his shackles right now.
This is absolutely amazing, and I'm stuck at work and can't even show any emotion right now.
I've got 15 people texting me. 1 second. Okay, now I'm pouring a drink. So, what do you guys want to talk about now? Jillian, you don't get to mute yourself. You don't get to be muted.
Bob, I just I want to thank you for doing this. I didn't know that we needed this. This is so crazy. I'm so glad. This shirt is outdated.
Adnan is free.
You need to add a D to it.
Yeah. That was, if you saw me get up, I just jumped on and hugged my husband, Mike. Bob, thank you for doing this. This is like, this like moment in all of our lives, I think is going to go down in history. Don't make like, this is really, really wonderful that you thought to do this and that we can all be together in this moment.
I'm so thankful all of you for joining, like I said, on YouTube and Zoom. I'm scrolling through the Zoom pages. Everybody's crying.
Hey, does anybody know where the if we can find the press conference?
Yes,
I
the
don't.
Facebook page for Baltimore City's attorney. I'll post
Yeah.
it in the.
Okay.
Oh yeah, can you post it in the chat, please? That was my first question before. I didn't know where we were going.
It's in the chat now.
Thank you so much.
Everybody's got a drink. Cheers.
Okay, who's cutting onions?
Yeah, no shit. Oh my God. I hate times like this because I want to like immediately call Rabia, and it's obviously I'm not going to do that because she's in the middle of everything. I'm so glad we did this because I would be sitting in this office by myself right now, probably with my teenager who has left the room. I have no idea why. I'm sitting here crying. Poor Janet, her plane is just now taking off, and she said she's sitting there sobbing on the plane, shaking like a leaf.
There's a tweet from Asia McLean with all tears.
Tell me more about the version. The benefits of members today. So look at the website.
Judge also the news that Adnan Syed is going to walk free today. I'm headed outside for the press conference.
Oh my God.
Justin Fenton said when the judge ordered his shackles removed, and this is getting me because I can just imagine being there. And he said the overflow courtroom could all burst into applause. Can you imagine being in that moment?
Can't be the only one getting really frustrated about all this Queens coverage and being like, which news station is going to put this on first?
My dad said CNN was going to cover it.
It's a Queen coverage still right now.
Let's try to. Poor Janet, the flight attendant's asking her if she's okay. I think there's something wrong with her. Jason, just say somebody put in chat the link to the.
They said that was going to be posted on their Facebook page, but I don't see anything on their Facebook page that actually indicates they are getting ready to do a press conference. So, but that's the only Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office Facebook page I can find.
Did anyone check the Baltimore Sun's website to see if they're streaming it? I'm on like 3 different devices right now trying to be able to work and see everything.
Oh, there is a something on K. I found another link. Here we go. It's on KFDM, not KMFDM, but KFDM News. It looks like they're getting ready to show it, so I'll post that here.
What was it? KD.
KF. It's a KFDMN News. Look, link is in the chat.
John Cryer is texting. He's not telling me if he's crying or not. Idiot. Yeah, they've got a live stream outside the courthouse.
Okay, I'll be fine.
I remember standing right there doing periscopes in 2016, the last one. Are you guys hearing the feed as I have coming on my computer? Is it like distracting, or is it good that I should leave it that way so you all can hear it?
I'd like to tell you how to share it, but I'm a little concerned you might get a little confused, Bob.
I know how to share my screen. Hang on. Let me see here. Try this. Share screen. You guys see it?
You know, just to
Bob, we've talked about that messy desktop.
Oh, Bob,
I clean it off once a week. That's just the stuff I'm working on. I keep it
this
there.
is horrifying. I was not expecting to see this today. They didn't mention anything about suing or any kind of, like.
Well, he can't. I don't think he can sue yet because he hasn't been exonerated based on actual innocence yet.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. But that's not like off the table. It's not an option.
If they arrest someone else and prove someone else did it, then yeah, I would think it was for sure be an option.
New York Times and the Washington Post sent out a breaking news alert.
Hey, Bob, just so you know, the stream's a little choppy coming through, so it's probably not, at least for me, I don't know if it is for everybody else, but it's probably not functioning well.
Okay. But can you guys, I'm trying to make it so that we can stay on here, people can hear it. I moved it over to my second screen and now I lost it. Stop share. I don't know where it is. God damn it. I slid it from one of my monitors to the other one. There we go.
I did call him at 9-4, right?
Hey, Bob, we don't really know the answer to this now, but what is your thought process on how long it may be before they decide not to retry? Any idea?
We don't have any information, so you know what I mean. We don't know if they're going to. Oh no, this is chopping on me. We don't know if they're going to go after another suspect right away. If they're going to, if this was just truly purely Brady violation and they don't really have much on somebody else. I tell you what, if I'm the person who did this, I'd be scared to fucking death right now. You know, Mosby has made the promise that she will see Lee's killer behind bars. So it tells me that they're going to launch a. Dude, what this is what should be done. When a conviction is overturned, what is supposed to happen is the case resets. It's an open investigation, and they go after who did it. It rarely happened. The West Memphis 3 case, you know, of course they ended up reconvicted because of the Alfred
a judge concluded that prosecutors had an abundance of evidence and that the murder conviction of Adnan Syed should be vacated. Now, right now, there's a crowd of media and friends and family members out here in front of the courthouse where we are awaiting the appearance of State's Attorney Mosby. Its office has been investigating this case for the past year. They are expected here at any moment to comment about their findings. The judge also ordered the shackles be removed from the defendant, Syed, who has been in prison now for more than 20 years. And he will and is expected to be walking out of this courthouse in just a few moments with State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby. Now, they've been investigating this case for more than a year now, and they did conclude that about back in May, they did find an abundance of evidence, like at least 2 witnesses, which they say were not disclosed to the defense in this case, which led suspicion about the case. They also questioned phone technology, which was used to convict Syed at the moment. And they also said DNA tests, touch DNA, the new testing procedure that they now have, which is far more exact, revealed no conclusive link to the defendant, Adnan Syed. Now, all of that led the judge to conclude that this conviction should be vacated and the defendant is to be released. The victim's family, however, in this case is not too happy. They testified after a delay in court this afternoon that ordering the judge or advising the judge to do the right thing. The brother of the Haven Lee, who was strangled to death in this case, said he had thought that the state was on his side, but now he feels betrayed. That right before the judge issued this ruling. Yeah, go ahead. Right. He throughout the entire proceeding, even during some of the testimony, he just looked down at the table, and it appeared that he was shedding a tear, and it started to break up toward the end of the hearing when she was delivering her verdict and her decision. But he was obviously anxiety-ridden, and he's been in jail now for more than 20 years. But his family is here, and so are a lot of other defendants who have been released from jail after 20, 30 years. They too came to support him. One of them I talked to in the hallway a few minutes ago said there is no question when you first met him behind the prison walls that he did nothing to commit murder and have been fighting for his freedom ever since. Bring him out, come on. I did hear the brother testify. He said that he felt betrayed. He said, I always thought the state was on my side, but out of nowhere, this was a motion to vacate. I feel betrayed, is his exact words. He said, when I think it's over, it's over. It's always something that comes back. It's killing me and my mother, he told the judge. I believe in the court, however, and I believe the judge will make the right decision. The judge has. Go ahead.
So if anybody's watching,
That is correct. In fact, the
Dunkin' Donuts Robbie was hanging out at. If you come off those steps just down to the right, that's where every time we had a break, we'd go hang out with Robbie at the Dunkin' Donuts. Oh, it's chomping on me. God damn it! Come on. Get on my phone.
Right, there was a lot of concern that they filed it.
Am I crazy or is everything freezing for me video wise? Am I alone?
It is for
Okay.
me too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Me
I think
too.
we're crashing the feed.
Okay, so it's not my
Forward this information,
internet.
and it
I
was
was gonna
her
try to get it
office that asked that Adnan Syed be go and make.
Because there's 2,000 people watching it live.
Oh, Theo must be so pissed. Fuck him.
Well, he's really got to be like I would love to see if Mosby wants all the respect in the world from me, and she's already got a lot of it. Would be if she then turned around and filed charges on Kevin Durkin and Theo Victoraja for prosecutorial misconduct.
Yes, of course.
Has anybody found, is it on like TV news anywhere? In case this gets choppy, I can turn it on the TV behind me to hear it.
Did anyone else catch Sarah? I just saw Sarah Koenig in the feed.
CNN just sent out a news alert, so they may be carrying it. I'm not sure yet.
No,
Let me run and check court TV really quick.
Jillian, did you say somebody said they saw Sarah Koenig on there? Was that her standing right there?
No, she's
Behind
wearing
the
a
pole?
white shirt. She's wearing a white shirt. She's like behind, she's like on the other side of, like way farther off. I just,
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4. Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm gonna have to move quickly if they come out, but I'll talk to you about it.
Justin Fenton said the state has 30 days to do a new trial or drop charge.
That's it. Oh, wow. Usually, a lot of times they'll just leave it hang out there
Your
forever.
family members? Whoa, what family friends? My mom is a Vermont. Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Went to the courthouse in sweatpants.
Am I out of your way? Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna have to get out of the way.
So within 30 days, they dropped the charges. There's no home confinement, no nothing. It's just a 3-man as though this never happened. I sure would love to see them make an arrest in the next 30 days.
I'm having one of those like out of body experiences where I knew in my bones this day would happen. I told Rabia like one day this is gonna happen, and now we're here, but it feels fake, but I know it's real, but it feels, I'm having one of those moments where it feels like I'm not.
What's crazy about it is, you know, from your life being friends with Damien and Lori and the case we worked, like this, just something about it to me, just like it feels too easy. Like
It's because the state wanted it. That's when I knew. I was like, wait a second. It's what the state wanted it.
Can't be this easy, because like in this case, we went through everything and got the conviction overturned.
But also, Bob, remember, like it was easy from Wednesday to now, but for 20 years it was a fucking
right, exactly,
brutal,
yeah.
You know, like, but no, it feels like this like messy kind of like, oh God.
This afternoon, the judge here in Baltimore ordered Adnan Syed be freed for right now and overturn his conviction. We're waiting for the family to come out.
How you doing? Do you have a minute? I think we're just going over here talking before this goes to product. Can we just ask you a quick question about how, no? You don't want to? Okay. What about to just do audio? I know. That's we just.
I want to see. I feel like we're going to see Robbie walk out first.
Oh, this is it. Is that his family? No, that's my problem. Oh, good.
Would have been favorable to Adnan Syed in this case, and that it was material in this case. And so the judge said that alone, that Brady violation alone, would constitute overturning a conviction. So now the state has 30 days to decide whether they're going to set a new trial Adnan Syed. So in the next 30 days, the state will make that decision. But they said today in court, didn't give a ton of details. They said that they were looking at least 2 additional suspects, but they would now located
300 people on the YouTube.
incredible suspects. They didn't go so far as to provide
Plus the 100.
details about those suspects, but made the judge aware that they were credible.
Can you on the YouTube? Can you guys hear the press conference stuff?
Susan Simpson is doing a live, Instagram live.
Who is Benton?
Yeah, we're not gonna. I
Susan
know it.
Simpson.
I talked to Kenneth.
She's in a red suit. She's right. You can see her. But she's doing an Instagram live.
Who is that in the red suit there?
Susan Simpson.
Oh, she's doing an Instagram live right now.
What was going on in your mind? What you know? Do you have a second just to talk over here?
She just ended it. Sorry.
You're by the podium. But we try to do
It's hard to keep track of everything.
Yeah.
It's over. Hopefully she saved it.
over here. Chris. Gonna do it.
There's a great little Vietnamese restaurant right around the corner where Susan and I ate pho every day for lunch during the hearings.
Tell them to come to us. Tell me your name again. Willie Hamilton. Hamilton. And you were released after how many years? 30 years, 102 days. Wow. I want to go home. When did you get released? In June 13th. Of this year? Yes. Okay. And was it the same situation you were inside the courthouse? No, I did virtual. Oh, you did? Okay. Yes. We didn't know though how that period was going. No, we didn't. That was the first one of these the June I was still persuaded. So we didn't know how. Wow. Does this surprise you? No, I believe this has been a long time coming. This should happen a long time ago. But we know how sometimes things get postponed, they get delayed, and court hearings get pushed back further and further. So I was extremely happy that this proceeded the way it was supposed to. He's a beautiful individual. Anyone that ever gets to know this man, you'll know for sure he didn't commit this crime. He's a great guy. I'm going to ask you that again for about 10 seconds. So we get this right. Okay. Did they accuse you of homicide? Yes. That must have been held for a fight. Yes, it was.
That guy sounds like he was awesome. Wrongly convicted. Conviction was overturned.
No, since he can't walk through that door, many years, he still stayed in contact. I just got a call from him 4 days ago. He was so concerned about his family. This was all for his parents.
Teresa, it sounds like he's another guy that was wrongly convicted and conviction overturned by most people. She was asking in YouTube chat.
This has been a great stress. Them having a son like that, something he didn't do. He was just so happy that he would be able to spend time with his parents. But it wasn't about him. Right now. Yeah, we've been talking to several folks out here. We're talking right now to Willie Hamilton, a man who was released from prison just back in June after serving 30 years in prison for a homicide he says he does not commit and was released on his own. He knows what this moment is like. Can you describe for us what was going through your mind?
Fenton just tweeted that Adnan's first attorney just walked out of the building crying.
What was on your mind at this point when you had the hearing? It was still up in the air. Okay. With you? With me? Well, during that time, I knew it was a great possibility that the judge would deny, because at this time, during this juvenile restorative act, there was no hearing being conducted for any juveniles in PG County, and the judge didn't want to do it. But the advocacy group that I work for, Life After Release, they convinced the judge, the state's attorney, to proceed forward with this hearing. When the judge suspended my sentence, it was so
It was still hard. It's still hard to believe today after 90 days of freedom. It's still hard today.
What are you thinking? Mr. Syed, what are you thinking about the outcome and how this all develops?
I believe that this has been long overdue. The state's attorney had evidence that proved that there were other suspects in the crime, and they should have covered all avenues before they railroaded this man like this.
You've gone to it. What is it?
This is a testament of how this individual, Adnan Syed, is. He was just concerned about his parents. He just wanted to be there for his parents. It wasn't about him, it was about his parents.
Do you think he expected this outcome today?
No, because we know how the system postpones things, people can change their mind, political atmosphere, they change opinions and views of certain things. So we were hoping for the best, but this is the best outcome.
What are you thinking yourself?
I'm just so ecstatic and happy for his parents and his family and for them. I can wait to hug him, cry with him. No, never doubt, never doubt, never doubt. People say,
Is it freezing up for everybody else too, or just me?
Yeah, it's freezing.
It's freezing for me, but I'm in the same situation you are, so I'm not a good one to judge.
Oh. My phone's delayed a little bit. Just muted everybody because someone was snoring into their Zoom. Feel free to raise your hand if you want to say something. I don't know. So I got this. Phone is delayed. It froze in the same spot. God damn it. We're going to miss him walking out. Stream is frozen. Let's see if can anybody Amy, go ahead, Amy.
Sorry, I don't have a picture right now, but I just want side note while we're waiting and it's freezing. I wonder how many of us moms or parents in general, kids have now been taught to say lawyer if they ever get in trouble or ever get stopped by police because of this case.
He's walking out. The Baltimore Banner League.
Walk out.
Hey, go wait. Hey, no, that's good. That's good. That's what this is all about.
If you're not watching, they're putting a knot in the car. He's leaving.
They should be giving him some space. This is incredibly rude and disrespectful.
They got him in the car now, though. He's gone. He's getting out
Sorry, my heart is like pounding out of my chest. I just want them to understand that like he's gonna need
this is
days, weeks, months. Like that was insane that he just had to walk through that.
I'm just thinking about him driving the car, just free right now on just whatever. Ravia. Ravi is up at the podium. Is that Mosby? I can't tell. I don't think that's Mosby, is it? Or is it?
I just supervise. They're gonna go. Yes. Okay. Be right with you guys.
There's Anand's mom. There's Yusuf, his brother. I think that's Tanvir behind him. I'm not sure. That's definitely Yusuf, though.
Sarah's right there behind them.
Start again, guys, all right? Good afternoon, everyone. God is good. Since the inception of my administration, I've made it clear that the sole mission of my office is to safeguard communities in Baltimore through the effective prosecution of crime. And in order to fulfill this mission, our prosecutors have been sworn to not only aggressively advocate on behalf of victims of crime, but when the evidence exists, to exonerate those that have been falsely accused or convicted. The public has to know that justice is the only barometer of success for my office, and justice over convictions is not only our mantra, but our mission. And since the start of the administration, my office has paid this mission forward, which is why we created the first conviction integrity unit in the entire state of Maryland, a unit dedicated to reinvestigating claims of actual innocence, a unit that is now a national model replicated throughout the country and the state, and has already successfully exonerated 12 innocent men who cumulatively served 300 years in prison for crimes they did not commit. Justice over convictions is ultimately the reason why my office created in December of 2020 a sentencing review unit where my prosecutors review and modify the excessive sentences of juvenile lifers and elderly prison population to ensure racial equity in a state that disproportionately incarcerates more Black and brown people than any other state in the nation. This unit, which is only the second in the state of Maryland to exist, is headed by former Deputy Public Defender of Maryland, Becky Feldman. We've already modified and recommended the release of over 40 individuals, none of whom have reoffended since the inception of the unit. My sentencing review unit is responsible for the year-long collaborative investigation into this case and today's motion to vacate the conviction of Adnan Syed. The vacatur statute, which was drafted, lobbied, testified to in Annapolis by my office, despite the opposition of almost every one of my colleagues across the state, with the exception of Aisha Braidboy, this vacatur statute is responsible for today's outcome. As we are all aware, Adnan Syed stood trial twice for the homicide of 17-year-old Hayman Lee. A jury in 2000 found him guilty of premeditated murder, kidnapping, robbery, and false imprisonment, and the judge sentenced him to life plus 30 years in prison. Syed ultimately appealed that decision again and again. For the past 7 years, my office provided permission for the original and appellate jurisdiction over the case to the Attorney General's office under the direction of Brian Frosh, where, as all you guys are all aware, both trial judges and appellate courts denied Syed's post-conviction motions. In 2018, Maryland's Court of Special Appeals determined Syed was entitled to a new trial, only for the state's top court to overrule that opinion the following year. And then finally, appealing to the US Supreme Court, the review was declined in 2019. The way that it happened this time, in 2021, Syed's attorneys, Erica Suter, who you will hear from momentarily from the Office of the Public Defender, appealed to my office and brought the case to the attention of Becky Feldman in my sentencing review unit after the Juvenile Restoration Act passed in April of 2021. This act allows people convicted of crimes as juveniles to request a modification of sentence after they have served more than 20 years incarceration. Mr. Syed qualified because he spent more than 22 years. Becky Feldman subsequently led nearly a year-long exhaustive investigation reviewing the substantive facts of this case, where several problematic issues were presented, and thereafter leading my office to file a motion to vacate the conviction of Adnan Syed. Vacature, as we all have learned today, is a legal mechanism that once again was drafted, lobbied, testified to, and was integral in ensuring that my office was integral in ensuring that it passed, which provides prosecutors with a legal mechanism for the removal of a conviction based off of newly discovered evidence that calls into question the integrity of a conviction based on the interest of fairness and justice. Through our review, our reinvestigation revealed that the original prosecutors and the subsequent prosecutors in the Attorney General's office failed to disclose relevant information about alternative suspects, one of whom threatened to kill the victim and had motive to kill the victim, and both of whom had a pattern of violence against women. Our investigation suggests that the two suspects may have been involved individually or may have been involved together in the death of that beautiful young woman. Once again, through our review, our investigation uncovered that one of the suspects threatened Ms. Lee, saying he would make her disappear. He would kill her. We also received information that provided motive for that same alternative suspects. That information was never disclosed to the defendant and is the basis of the Brady violation that the judge has deemed. We also determined in our investigation that one of the alternative suspects was violent towards a woman and forcibly confined her before Adnan Syed's trial. The other suspect has had a history of sexual assault. None of that information was provided to defense counsel by either the original prosecutor or the Attorney General's office, where the original case file still sits. It was through our investigation, we also learned that during the original investigation, one of the suspects were improperly cleared by Adnan Syed that simply wouldn't stand up in court today. And finally, we found that the previous misconduct of one of the homicide detectives in the Syed's case, a detective that was negatively implicated in my office's first exoneree, Malcolm Bryant, contributed to a wrongful conviction in a separate 1999 murder case. For all of those reasons, my office petitioned the court jointly with Erica Suter from the Office of the Public Defender and asked that Adnan Syed be given a new trial where he is adequately represented and the latest evidence presented in the interest of fairness and justice, which is and has always been the hallmark of my administration as State Attorney for Baltimore City. At this stage, a trial has been set in for a new trial date because we're not yet declaring Adnan Syed is innocent, but we are declaring that in the interest of fairness and justice, he is entitled to a new trial. And because this is an ongoing case, there are limits to what I can say in this matter, but it is imperative that we start the process of securing a new trial with adequate representation for Mr. Syed to ensure that the family of Ms. Hayman Lee knows with full confidence that the person responsible for her death and the death of their loved one will be held accountable. Ms. Lee's family deserve closure. They deserve justice, and we intend to fight for them. And while this is just one step in a long fight to make sure the legal system in Baltimore is fair and just for all, I want to reiterate to the residents of Baltimore, as I do, as I always have done, that so long as I'm at the helm as State Attorney, I will remain committed to ensuring and pursuing justice and equality for all under the law, which includes victims, witnesses, accusers, and the accused. I said this 4 months following the death of Freddie Gray and I'm saying it 4 months before the end of my term. Justice is always worth the price paid for its pursuit. Thank you. Any questions?
Anybody catch that she said we are not yet declaring him actually innocent?
So I kind of addressed that in my remarks. I cannot, because it's an open and pending matter, I cannot talk about the substance of the case. But I can tell you that we are working with the Baltimore Police Department, and it is an active investigation. So what I can tell you is the investigation is separate and apart from the 30-day mandate. What we are currently waiting for is DNA analysis. And so we are going to try to expedite that. That is with reference to whether or not Adnan's case will be dismissed on no cross, and we would certify his innocence, or whether or not the case is set in for trial. If DNA evidence comes back, and I'll just be candid, and it's Adnan Syed, then clearly, you know, that there's implication that we have to proceed, that still entitles him to a fair and just trial. But in any event, we're going to wait for the DNA to come back, and we'll make that determination at that stage.
Somebody speak on behalf of the family. That answers your question. What happens if that DNA test is not finished in 30 days?
So, I mean, we'll meet that hurdle when it comes, but that's something that we're attempting to expedite.
In that same vein, though, with star witness credibility being impeached and the cell phone data no longer being deemed reliable, is a new trial even possible?
So, I mean, at this stage, what we want to do is we feel, again, all of these facts go to the integrity of the conviction, which is problematic. And so it's a matter of, and I don't want to interject my opinion, I can just do it based off of the facts. Once the DNA evidence comes in, it will be much more definitive. So let me be clear, it wasn't my office. But yes, I mean, I think we have open discovery. I think that we train our prosecutors, and the mantra and mission and vision of my office is very different than what it's been in the past, right? Our mission and vision is justice over convictions. For a very long time, people would measure the success of a prosecutor's office based off of convictions. We don't do that in the city of Baltimore. We go on the basis of justice.
How do you respond to his brother saying he felt blindsided by this when the investigation was going on for a year? He had a week's notice.
So no, I wrote what he said down. He basically said he somewhat felt betrayed, and you can understand why, right? I mean, you have some sort of resolution, and you believe that you have closure, and the case comes back up, and it rips a whole new sort of, wound that has healed, and that you think has healed, and so I understand his frustration and his disappointment, but I also understand the importance as the administrator of the criminal justice system to ensure equality and justice and fairness that is entitled to the defendant as well.
Can you comment about how this case hit your radar? Had it not been for the publicity, would you have gotten to it this fast?
Again, we were approached by the Office of the Public Defender, and Erica Suter, she'll talk to you. They wanted to come to us, and they came to us and approached us to do, under the JRA, they wanted us to make a modification of the sentence. He still qualifies for a reduction and a modification of the sentence, but when we got the file and we were in possession of it, and we started to look at it, we saw several problematic issues. And so then we began an investigation that went beyond just having a JRA motion, which that conviction would stand. Based off of our conviction integrity unit and reinvestigations into claims of actual innocence, we actually reinvestigated the matter. Thank you, guys.
Sarah Koenig right there. See, that's the bullshit that pisses me off. She's been nowhere to be found to have anything to do with Adnan, with Rabia, or anyone for this.
I just said that. I was like now she has a say. Now she can't fucking wait.
Yeah, and she shows up at the finish line to make a fucking podcast about it.
Anyway, I'm gonna run and watch this out in the kitchen with my husband. I
I'm
love you
actually gonna
all.
go ahead and
Bob, thank you for doing this. This was like kind of what we all needed and didn't know we needed it. So thank you. And I don't know, everyone have a great night, that justice kind of lives. And then now we get to work for Justice for Hay. So
That's right. Thanks, Julie, for joining us.
bye,
And
everybody.
I'm overwhelmed that all of you got on here with us. The 100 of you that were able to get on. Everybody on YouTube, thank you guys so much. I'm so happy that I got to experience this with all of you. We all got to share our shares and our drinks. So thank you, everyone. But I'm going to go ahead and end the stream now so everybody can just watch this. And we'll be definitely talking about it in the follow-up. I'm quite certain about that. So thanks, everybody. Take care.